Good afternoon, Mr. Nono. I'd like to thank you for taking the time for being here today. We are from AMA Consulting. My name is Asad. These are my colleagues, Amy and Megan. And before we begin our presentation today, we really want to focus on sharing with you an experience of the Ross family. The Ross family was a new family to the Wellington area. Unfortunately, they were living paycheck to paycheck, and as such, they weren't able to afford the basic necessities, the necessities of shelter, of food, of clothing, because they were strained on paying those expensive housing bills, until they were introduced to Habitat for Humanity. This provided them a spark of hope, a new beginning, a new opportunity to grow, a new opportunity to start a new life. Habitat for Humanity really allowed them to become a self-sustaining family through your sustainability model, and provided them with an opportunity to advance and to gain education. The parents were able to focus on their career without worrying about those daily expenses, which was all possible due to your organization. And this all boils down to your mission statement. That is of being to mobilize volunteers and community partners in building affordable housing and promoting home ownership as a means to breaking the cycle of poverty. Our recommendation today focuses completely on your mission, staying true to your mission, and being able to become a sustainable organization while always focusing on that mission of creating affordable housing. Now, there are a few key issues that your organization is currently facing. First and foremost is that one strategic decision of the deviation from the mission concerns with that pending donation. We do feel that our recommendation will really allow you to become a sustainable organization. That pending donation is only a one-time cash flow, and most importantly, it is not aligned with your mission. It deviates from your mission, and we do not want this to happen. And as such, we recommend to not accept that donation from all time. Second issue that the organization is facing is the restore rent and the size. We do feel that right now, currently, the restore model that you have is not at its full capacity. However, we strongly believe that by relocating the restore to an area that is accessible to everybody, to an area that is not incurring those heavy rent expenses, we can make this the hub of Habitat for Humanity. Allow this to be a place where you can generate your own revenue stream. Allow this to be a place for you guys to become, for Habitat for Humanity to become sustainable and to become a growing organization. And lastly is that internal and external fundraising issues. Right now there are issues with your development committee. They're not too sure what kind of events to focus on, whether to scrap the black tie event and to do more barbecues. And we recommend overall for the committee to focus on establishing a relationship with real estate companies. What this relationship will do will allow you to be able to gain materials, to be able to, the real estate companies have control over who they contract, what kind of companies they want to contract. And by establishing a relationship with the real estate communities, this will allow you to build relationship with contracts where the excess material that they are not using can be donated to your restore model. This will allow you to generate more revenue stream and will really allow Habitat for Humanity to take it to the next level. Another reason why pairing with the real estate companies is so critical is that mission alignment. Real estate companies want to provide that affordable housing. Right now, the two organizations were really focusing on your end goal of alleviating homelessness. And this will really allow you to create that relationship, build that relationship, and allow you to make, once again, the restore the hub of Habitat for Humanity. And overall, this will have a future impact of operational sustainability, increased revenue, and stronger strategic vision for long-term profitable operations. We want you to stay true to your mission. We also want you to grow as an organization. We want you to become sustainable so that you can continue to serve families like the Ross family in the future. Overall, what are the key objectives for Habitat for Humanity? First and foremost, providing that affordable housing for all. Providing that opportunity right now, provide that opportunity in the future for families to continue to have this opportunity to become sustainable. Secondly, that human dignity, really allowing all participants to volunteer, to become involved within your organization. Thirdly is that partnership, building those partnerships that will allow Habitat for Humanity to develop and to increase the opportunity for low-income families. Lastly, the faith in action, and lastly, overall, biggest component is the members. Now overall, before we move on, we really wanted to emphasize who are the key stakeholders of Habitat for Humanity. First and foremost are the participants. What are the participants that they desire? What do they desire? They desire that access to affordable housing. They desire that access. They desire that opportunity to be able to advance, the opportunity to grow, the opportunity to continue to live in life. Secondly is the donors. What do the donors desire? The donors desire that ability to make an impact. They want to know how many families are being served. They want to know that relationship. What is their donation going to do for the organization? Thirdly is the volunteers. What do the volunteers desire? The volunteers desire that opportunity to become involved in the community, providing that community impact, being able to use their resources, their strengths, and put that towards the community. Fourthly is your employees. What do your employees desire? They desire a positive work environment and fair competitive compensation. And lastly, the board of directors as a whole desire that opportunity to be involved with the organization. Now there are many strengths of your organization. We would just like to highlight a few key ones. First and foremost is that strong community ties. You have lots of events that bring the community together, and we do not recommend stopping those events. We feel that is a really positive strength of your organization, and it really brings people together to become advocates of Habitat for Humanity. And secondly, the passionate workforce. Right now, everybody believes in your mission. They are aligned with your mission. Your entire workforce believes in provide that affordable housing, providing it in a sustainable manner. However, there are a few weaknesses that our recommendation will focus on. First and foremost is that unclear fundraising strategy. What is the fundraising committee need to focus on? And secondly, not having an unsuitable growth strategy. There are opportunities for the organization as well. First and foremost, there are potential partners with organizations like real estate companies that will provide you with the access, with the needs to those resources to restore that hub of Habitat for Humanity and to allow you to generate revenue streams from that hub. However, there are threats and there is becoming that donor fatigue due to high competition. And we really feel that right now there are a few other not-for-profits that are rising in the Wellington community, and our recommendation will really focus on partnering up with those organizations, showing the donors that together we can work together. We can work with the student health lifestyle organization, allow them to volunteer with Habitat for Humanity, show the donors that together we are one and together we will be available to take those donations. So overall, how can Habitat for Humanity increase the impact to the community while being financially sustainable and staying true to their mission? I will now pass it on to my colleague Amy to go over the decision analysis.
Thank you, Azad. So today we looked at what are the key decisions which your organization needs to make to address the key issues focusing your organization. As you can see, we have accept the alt-line donation, how should the restore operate, as well as what should the fundraising committee really focus on. So first and foremost, we looked at whether or not you should accept this $1 million donation from alt-line company. We do not believe that you should accept this donation. We think that accepting this donation does not align with your mission, does not align with your core values, and it ties you to this alt-line organization for the next 5 years, having them be your key partner, and we don't believe that that would give other organizations the opportunity to partner with you or to be with your organization as well. And so we don't think that this is the right path for you to follow, and it really doesn't address the key issue, which is how to make your organization financially sustainable in itself, and how to make sure that it will last and grow and continue to grow after this 5 years is over, after this donation is used up. So secondly, to address this, we looked at Restore and how you should operate Restore in the future. We looked at whether or not negotiating rent was the best option for Restore. We do not believe that negotiating rent is the best option. We think that negotiating rent, at best, it'll only save you about $60,000 a year. This is if the negotiations are successful. And we don't believe that this is a good option for your organization, and it doesn't allow you the room to grow and the room to expand and to really make Restore the hub of your organization and to make it the hub of the financial sustainability plan which we have for you. We believe that you should move the locations, find a larger location, expand, double the capacity of your current location. This will end up with an NPV of about $2 million in 5 years. This is looking at a growth rate of about 15% for your Restore within the next 5 years in revenue. And we really think that this is possible with expanding the location, moving to a larger location, as well as with our new fundraising strategy, which I'm going to outline for you in the next slide. So what should your fundraising committee focus on? Currently, your fundraising committee focuses on community barbecues, as well as you have a black tie event once a year annually. This black tie event, though, it currently eats up 2/3 of your staff's time. 2/3 for an event that only raises $15,000 a year and is only appealing to a small part of the community. We don't think that this is a sustainable or efficient use of your staff's resources and of their time. So we really think that your fundraising committee should focus on material donations. We think that by focusing on these material donations and using them as for the Restore and making Restore the hub of your financial plan is the key for this. So focusing on material donations, you currently receive 80% of your donations from 8 different organizations, and that's not really very many for a community of your size of 120,000 people. We think that you can expand this and look out to different organizations to source more donations from. So we looked at exploring some real estate. We think real estate is a growing industry in your community after the financial crisis in 2009. There are more real estate developments, and these real estate developments, they also have to focus on having the low-income housing side of it as well. So we think that their mission aligns with yours in providing the low-income housing and also providing other housing for people. Even if it's not low-income, you both are focused on providing homes for people when they need it. So we think that real estate, by having the real estate developers ensure that their contractors are donating their excess supplies to you and ensuring that this is a key part of their contracts with their contractors, we think that this will help you source more donations for your Restore, and thus making sure that your Restore is the key to your financial stability. So fourth, we looked at how to deal with fatigue donors in your community. This is currently an issue which is facing many communities around North America, especially after the financial recession. And so we looked at whether you should look outside the community, as you mentioned in our meetings last week, or whether you should stay within the community itself. We think that you should stay within Wellington. You have such a core built there right now that we think that it would be unwise to look elsewhere, and because most of your developments are within Wellington itself, we think that staying in the community is the best option for you. So we think that by partnering with new organizations which are starting up, new charitable organizations such as young people developing healthy lifestyles in schools, we think that by partnering with organizations such as this, which we know is starting in Wellington, you could really use this and incorporate these young people in working at your Habitat for Humanity locations and helping them reach their goals and helping them ensure that they are living a healthy lifestyle. And we think that this would help you find volunteer hours and also appeal to a greater percentage of the community. You're currently appealing to the people that are worried about housing, and it is such an issue, but also you can appeal to the people that are worried about the welfare of the youth in their community and source donations from them by partnering with this organization and make sure that you aren't creating donor fatigue within your community. So overall, our comprehensive recommendation for your organization is 3-pronged. We have that you should partner with real estate companies to ensure that you get more donations for your Restore. We have that you should move Restore to a new location and ensure that it grows and it can become more of a financial revenue source for your organization. And thirdly, we have Start Student Physical Health Program. So this is partnering with the student health program, which is growing in your community. And so this is all going to lead to independent, financially sustainable operations. I'm now going to pass it off to my colleague Megan, who's going to show you the financial implications of this and take you through what we think your long-term plan should be as well.
Thank you, Amy. As Amy said, I'm first going to touch on what impact your bottom line this recommendation will have, and then I'm going to talk about how you will implement it and any risks that are associated with this implementation. But before I do that, I want to go into a little bit of detail about this student physical health partnership. Something you outlined with us in one of our discussions last week was that there is this rise of 2 competitors in Wellington, the first one being a Middle Eastern Warfare Monetary Funds Donation Foundation, and then secondly, the Student Physical Health charitable organization. And we really wanted to change this competitive environment from a threat into an opportunity. And how we want to do that is by using these students who are looking to get healthy and looking to have physical activity to help out with their projects. We think this will have a couple benefits. The first being they could use it as a work credit within school, as it is a trade, so it's a tangible skill. And secondly, this is a way for you to get into young people's minds with the impacts they can have by volunteering, as well as they can be future donors. So just to go over it quickly, we want to turn the Start Student Advantage partner with a competitor, offer student work plan, work placement for building houses, and lastly, they can be long-term volunteers or even donors. So the financial analysis, the 2012, 2013, 2014 numbers were all given to us by you, the 2013 and 2014 being your forecast. How we use our forecast accordingly is by taking the revenue that you source from the new restore location and increasing that by 10% per year, as if that growth, as it is growth that we see as sustainable and something that's realistic. In addition, increasing your expenses accordingly, which was about 2% increase per year, as you had forecast. So for the implementation, from 0 to 3 months, some things you want to do is first of all meet with Mr. Roscoe, who was interested in giving you that big donation. We want to maintain this relationship and see how else we can involve him, whether it be if his work team wants to do some cooperation with you, with building, etc. We don't want to ruin this relationship, so it's really important to be clear and transparent about your motives and your concerns with accepting this donation. Secondly, we want to look for a new store location in a city center. Currently, your store location is within a high-end mall. We believe this is kind of taking away from your target audience, which is all low-income all the way to high-income clients. We think that people aren't necessarily coming to that location for the right reasons, so we want to find a location that's within the city center and is going to have traffic from all target audiences. Thirdly, you want to meet with your development committee, align your goals, make sure they understand this new direction, and see any concerns that they have to make sure you're on the same page. Fourthly, you want to approach the real estate companies about the partnership. Like we said, this is a big opportunity within our discussions with you. Your town, Wellington, has an agreement that any high-end developments that are done, low-end ones must be done as well. It's called mixed-use development. This is a huge opportunity, as since we're coming out of this financial crisis, it's going to be a huge market up and coming, and we want to be part of this low-income housing. We want to partner with them and be able to get donations to our materials as well as to your store, to your resource. So huge opportunity, and we want to get that partnership going as soon as possible. And then lastly, create agreement with the student health group. We think this is a great opportunity to get the young minds involved and to really get your community behind it and decrease some of that competition you're facing. So from 3 to 6 months, purchase the new store and begin the move. This is something you talked to us about that you estimate being around $200,000. Thirdly, or secondly, create the partnership agreement with the real estate company. We really want to have a clean outline of what each goal is going into this, what they're going to get out of it. It's a good social reputation, good for their PR. They're able to see more, get your relationship in terms of housing for these low-income houses they're building, as well as being able to give back to the community, which is really important. And then lastly, start getting the students to volunteer with building. We really want to dive right in and see this impact right away so that you can measure it in the long term to see how it's doing. So from 6 months to 1 year, you should be looking at beginning a new marketing campaign for the store. We budgeted about $10,000 for this, just being able to get the word out where the store is now, getting those new target market audiences coming. Secondly, meet with the board to discuss future growth. We think this is really important, and it's something we have a slide on after this, is really knowing what your long-term vision is and being able to touch in on that with all members of the board. Reevaluate the new restore, make sure everything's working well, the location's great, and then lastly, interview the students about the program effectiveness. Now this is really important, and we allocated $5,000 to this just to make sure that you're getting the most benefit from it. So some long-term recommendations is to look into provincial funding. This is something that's a mitigation we built into our plan in case the restore isn't as successful as we think. Then secondly, include board members in the fundraising initiatives. So have them reach out to their connections. This is something you're not currently utilizing. And conduct market research on surrounding communities and stabilize your growth. So we think that this, your current growth is something that isn't necessarily sustainable. The average location has 12.5 houses built per year. So we think that your current isn't exactly, even though everyone wants to be on a winning team, as you outlined, you're not going to be a winning team with 24 houses per year forever. So we think it's really important to make this more realistic. So some risks that we've mitigated throughout the plan are the lack of participation from real estate companies. We've mitigated this by showing the mission alignment and having the partnership. And the contingency would be exploring other corporate donors, such as the public sector. You have the risks in front of you, and if you have any more questions on them, we'll touch on them later. Some metrics you also have, so we'll touch on that. So before we end here, we're really looking forward to your questions. I just want to talk to the future impacts. As you can see throughout our plan, we've really been able to look at your situation, which is relying on a lot of other people, and been able to draw this in to try and make you an independent company who isn't relying on anyone else. We think it's really important throughout your whole mission, from your whole entire value chain, that you're entirely sustainable from the end user all the way up to your global head office. And these are things we've kept in mind, as well as your mission and your strategic goals. And hopefully you've been able to see throughout our whole recommendation that we've addressed all of these concerns.
Stop.
All right, that concludes the presentation portion. There's 5 minutes. You'll be given a 30-second warning, and judges will be ready to go.
I have a question. What are the implications of not focusing on cash donations, specifically implications of canceling the black tie dinner?
I can take that for sure. So what we're saying is we're not saying that you should eliminate the community barbecue aspect. We do realize that those raise an estimated $20,000 each, and you have 7 of them throughout the year. And those only take up 1/3 of your development committee's time currently. So we think that by moving the 2/3 of time away from the black tie gala, which only raises about $15,000 a year and takes up 2/3 of their time, we're really not hurting your community ties. You are such a strong community organization already, and we're really going to focus on the community aspect by partnering with the other organizations within your community.
I like the emphasis on the growth of the restore, but I'm just curious as to how you're going to fund this $200,000 investment that you need up front.
So we did look at the financial that you provided us, and within the budgets right now, that you are making enough that will be available to take. So we did look at the financial budget that you had provided us, and with that, the 200 was already estimated in as an expense, and you were still coming out with some. So we did.
But that was contingent upon receiving $1 million gift. You're not receiving $1 million gift, you're focusing on in-kind donations. So just was curious as to whether you had were you going to debt finance it, or you just felt it was already?
I think something in terms of the financials that we looked at is in your forecast. We assumed, I guess, that if you forecasted that money, it was coming from somewhere, but definitely debt financing would be something you would want to look at in terms of that $200,000. So, something we can look into further if you're interested.
You identified that through the black tie event, you didn't see that as a good use of staff resources in terms of their time. But the organization had actually scaled up on staff in team leads for committees. So I just wondered if you'd given any thought to best use of that staff time since in fact you're cutting back extras.
Yeah, I can take that. How we use that additional staff and those additional resources is with the 2 new partnerships. We felt it was extremely important what the black tie event really gave in terms of the community outreach and really building that sense of community within Wellington. How we mitigate this is by trying to partner up with a community organization that has that use, so the parents are getting involved, etc. So those additional resources would be working on those programs and those partnerships, and hopefully still having that community impact and building that strong sense of community that you maintain.
Can you walk me through your net present value calculation?
Yeah, definitely. So, we use a discount rate of 8% since it is a pretty big company globally. The revenue growth in stores uses 10%, so yeah, and then that's calculating the cost as the expenses decrease. So this is the best case scenario. So if you go back to our additional, we're using the very best case scenario. Obviously, it's not necessarily going to be that the $60,000 is negotiated, so it wouldn't necessarily be $2,500. And then the net present value of the project for the new location is just subtracting that down payment of $200,000 as well as the increase in expenses. But this is very best case, as we outlined, because you don't know that you're going to get that 10% revenue, and this is something we built into our mitigations, but that's something that you forecasted, so we thought it was a pretty realistic forecast.
It seemed like you walked away from the $1 million pretty quick. Was there any thought put into what could be done to maintain that?
Yeah, we definitely the reason why we went with it was that there was not that mission alignment. We did realize that we did not want his company to take over, have that for humanity, the operations, the logos, what you guys truly stand for. And we do realize that after that, we really want to focus on establishing that relationship with him. We do not want to let go of the relationship. Maybe something in the future can come about it. And we did realize that in our having a meeting with him and figuring out what other sources, what other ways can we partner with his company to better have that humanity, but also to better his company.
When you meet with the board of directors, what concerns do you think they might have?
Okay. I can can take that. So I think that some things that we've kind of thought about in terms of our team, the concerns the board of directors might have is, the human capital one, where are these new projects coming from? I think a big concern with the black tie event, as you guys have asked us about as well, really taking away from that community thing. In addition, something we put in our long-term considerations with the board of directors is them utilizing their connections to get some fundraising. So that could be a concern. Some people might not be comfortable with that. Some people might be very comfortable with that. So it's definitely things to have a two-way conversation about and communicate openly and clearly.
Stop.
We'll ask everyone makes their way up to the judges' table. Deliberate.
We're not delegating
Nobody's firing anybody. Ramp it up. We're just going to take people that are really hard for a specific task and now repurpose them. And they're going to have
Something totally different.
some of them just constructed.
Remember too that everyone costs $3,000 to hire. I know.
We're just being
My one tip for you is part of the feedback.
Yeah, no, I noticed they stopped.
General feedback at the end. We'll definitely
If it looks like they need.
But overall, oh, sorry, I'm just saying that they were very much glossing over the fact that they were going to magically find this money another way without any cuts in staff or expenses. It's not, it's a business thing. I don't know you gotta explain this sometimes.
I found a good question at the end. As soon as they said $2 million, even if they issued or something, $300,000 profit. Like the street, like